So here's the gold. Your control, what is your task, is to pick a target. Because if you don't have a target out there, that becomes your target. We're toast. So I pick the red flag out there. I pick an intermediate point that's going to lead me to the red flag, that hole. I want to pick a ball flight to lead me to the red flag. I'm going to play a little draw. So if you look at my draw and fade, part 1, 2, and 3, my draw and fade, my working the ball on the premium channel, that's the best by far, that's the most updated, that's the best explained. It's only $4 a month, so get in there. And so I'm going to line up over that intermediate point, play the ball a bit back in my stance, close the face slightly. Now I'm ready to go. So now I look out there and I feel that when I let the club release me, it's going to release me to the right of the red flag. So I've done my job. It's over. Now it's, here you go, gravity. Now it's your job to release the shot for me. I'm just going to follow your lead. So it's a dance between you and gravity is always in the lead. So I feel the weight of the instrument, and I'm going to let the weight of the instrument release me right edge of that intermediate point, right of the red flag. Okay, what's that going to feel like? Oh, I know what that feels like. All right, I'm done. Just superb. So now I get set up, and I want to go to the target. Okay, so big backswing, knee behind the ball, big hip turn. I want to go to the target. So first thing the brain is going to do is go get the ground. Got it. Use the ground to get me out of the way. Got it. Release out to the target. Wow, look at that. But if I go backswing, knee behind ball, hip, left heel off the ground, hit the ball. Well, Brandl stuff doesn't work. I can't see it. It feels like there's way too much margin for error. So now all this creepy fear and, you know, all this be careful stuff comes out instead of, hey, I want to go keep out to wet paint. Gather that backswing. Let's go to keep out. Wow, look at that. I shifted my weight. I cleared my hips. I released in the direction I wanted the ball to go. Gosh, that was easy. Okay, so let's do that again. I see the keep out sign. I gather. Let's go to keep out again. Wow, look at that. So the right focus is going to put this together for us. Timing of the swing is of primo importance. How do I get that? I'm already wired. Do a walk. So notice that timing. It's go get the ground. So the brain needs to go get the ground. Use the ground to throw the club out toward the target. So if I throw the club to the target, does it feel like I can cut a dandelion stem? Yes. Nope. Nope. Yes. Okay. What's it going to feel like when I throw the club toward the target? So let's do it in two pieces again. Top of backswing and stop. Now I'm going to use the ground to throw the club to the target. Notice how I'm pushing off the ground to throw the club at the target. Very, very solid hit. So the rhythm of that is gather, go get the ground, throw. Gather, ground, throw. Gather, ground, throw. See that? Pretty cool, huh? So you're practicing your irons, whether they're on mats or on grass, typically you're hitting the shots off the fairway, aren't you? So you're settling in, and your brain, when you're looking down at that ball, your brain already has a sound, a sensation, and a flight associated to how the ball is sitting, right? So there's an associated bunch of senses that come along with this. So now, let's say you were going to, hit your normal shots. I get set up. I'm going to play my little draw from my keep out sign to the wet paint sign. So I'm lined up on wet paint, which is a little left of keep out. Close the face, get behind the ball. So now from there, when I swing to keep out, it feels like the sole of the club is going to drag through a little bit of dirt here. So my brain already has a very specific sound and feel associated with that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the shot. So I'm going to keep out. Perfect. Right over now, what I would like to see you do is get ready to throw the club toward that row of posters. So you say, okay, when I throw the club that way, how forward do I need to be so that when I throw the club that way, I cut grass? So I'm throwing the club that way. Oh, yeah, look at that. It passed right there. So I take my posture with that. Then I bring that to the ball. See how I'm doing that? So now, many of you are going to say, oh my gosh, this feels so close. Well, that's your brain going, well, what about the ball? So as soon as you got to the ball, the brain says, well, gosh, I feel too close to hit the ball. Well, wait a second. Back up again. Throw the club to the target. Throw the club to the target. Yes, I threw the club to the target. And look at that. The club wants to pass here. So I go back in. I go, oh my gosh, that still feels way too close. Well, let's see. If I throw the club to the target, what's going to happen? Does it feel like if I throw the club to the target that the leading edge of the club is my cutting device, is going to cut that dandelion stem? So let's go above the ball. If I throw to the target, let's see what happens. Yes, I threw the club to that row of posters over that intermediate point, and yeah, the club blurred right over the ball. So I'm using the weight of my arm club unit to swing left edge of that. That's not it. That's not it. That's it. So when I feel that I'm using momentum to perform my task, then the shot is going to come out exactly the way you're looking for. Hands up, okay? Okay, here we are. I've set up a club that is basically lined up on my red flag. And I'm just going to set up my feet parallel to that club, check out my perpetual motion and feel like the perpetual motion wants to stay in line with that club. Fantastic. Bring that over to the ball. So I see the dandelion stem in my mind, and I'm just going to let gravity cut through the stem, and I will not fight where it feels like it wants to go. That was thin, but that was right on top of that red flag. So I get into your typical classic setup position with the head behind the ball, and I'm getting ready to go. So the textbook says you grip it like this, and you stand like this, and you put your head behind the ball. Check. So now, the ball just happens to be my target. So as I go back, you're going to see a lot of people do this. Go up and down a driving range and see how that head tilts toward the target in the backswing. Why? Because the person at the helm is trying to hit the golf ball. So this would be a great way to hit the ball. Now what happens is I'm behind the ball right now. If you look at the center of the swing in a human body, right? So if I only have one arm, here's a great way to understand it. I let my arm swing around that shoulder socket. Notice how the club bottoms out right underneath my shoulder every time. Well, that's the center of my swing. So if I take both arms, put them together to take my club, the center of my swing is now this, the sternal notch, where the two clavicles join the rib cage. So, in that imaginary point. So I get set up, everything is hunky-dory right now, and it feels like I'm going to bottom out exactly at the right place, just in front of the ball. So there's my imaginary door frame. And if I stay behind the door frame, I'm going to squeeze the ball through the door frame, I'm going to bottom out at the right place. However, if I go ball, now the center of my swing is way out in front. And the bottom of my swing is now over here. Well, guess what? I'm going to have to hurry up like crazy, make sure I don't miss the ball. That's what gets you into that rushing. So, do you rush on purpose? Heck no. We don't do that on purpose. So you're not defective. So where do I place the ball where if all I have to do is just let it swing? So right now it feels like too far,
Too close, just right. Too forward, too back, just right. Okay, so now if I just let it swing, it feels like I'm gonna net it. Last but not least, if I close the face too much, so I just take my normal grip, there it is, close the face too much, I'm gonna say, okay, if I let it go from here, it feels like it's gonna go too far left. If I let it go from there, it's going too far right. If I let it go from here, it feels like it's gonna go just about right. Now remember, handle leads through impact. So it should look a little closed at address for it to go pretty straight, okay? Now for those of you who've been with Wisdom in Golf a long time, you understand that hitting a straight shot is not really something that you want to try and do. If you let it swing and the ball goes straight, fine. So, if I let it swing from here, it feels like I'm gonna nut it, and it feels like it's gonna fly reasonably straight. So, yep, nutted and very straight flying ball. And I went right through that intermediate point, and the ball flew right in the direction I wanted to. So I'm going that way. And when somebody's trying to hit the ball, it looks like this. They're trying to push down on the club. So you can't rush the club to meet the ball first because there's your low point. So as you come down, the arms fall. The arms fall. Now, falling arms. You don't want the arms to fall into your body. That's my arm falling into me. I bend forward, let the arm fall past me. Pass. So you see how I let the arm continue past. Now, you take your backswing. You gather the backswing, then the right arm folds the wrist hinge. Now I've got a nice loaded arm club unit. I start letting the arms fall. Now, the weight of the arms are going to fall first. Now, notice how what's happening? The handle is pointed down, now it's pointed toward the target, now it's pointed up. And I asked Michelle, I'm going, doesn't it feel like you're going to miss it from here? And she goes, yeah. Wow, look at that. So as it, then the club's coming down. So it has to, the handle has to fall up for the club to keep going through, right? So I gather, fall up.